Hey guys! So, first off, I have to apologize. I've been very lacking on this channel lately. Um, this has been a week where, the week has gotten away from me. And some of it is my own fault. Yesterday, I spent a lot of time just playing games on my phone, playing games on my Switch. Um, kind of just got distracted from stuff, but there's also been some other stuff that's been going on. Um, like Tuesday, 2 days ago now, I had put in a prescription refilled request and was waiting to hear back from Boots, which is the pharmacy I go to, and finally heard from them on Monday afternoon. So I decided I'm gonna wait until tomorrow. That way, you know, because I always like to be here when Keith gets back from work. And so I was just like, yeah, I'll go tomorrow. Well, and what was really nice about going on Tuesday was that after I got done getting my prescription, I picked up a couple of other small things in Boots. Um, but since one of them was I was running out of Kleenex, and so I wanted to get another little pack. I always put a pack in my purse, and then in my backpack when we go to Ash Nicky's on Saturdays or when we do it for Dungeons and Dragons, because I always have it in case I sneeze, or in case, you know, like God forbid I have to spit up something or whatever. It's very handy. So I saw that they had little packs, little purse packs as I call them. And so I bought one of those, and just walking along. And what I find really nice, and what I'm not used to at all from living in the suburbs, um, is we have buskers. We have people who come in and they set up along the street, they set up on the sidewalk somewhere, and they're usually outside of a business. So, the one that I came across yesterday was in front of the White Store, which I believe is a clothing store. I'm not entirely sure. I've never been in there, but yeah. So as I'm walking along, because I kind of tend to follow a certain route. Like sometimes I'll go take a shortcut, or I'll be like, oh, what's down this street? Let's go see, whatever. And there are still some streets in Exeter that I haven't explored yet. Um, so looking forward to being able to do that at some point. But what I found funny was one of the movies that Keith and I watched together recently has been Mamma Mia. And so as I'm walking along back toward the alleyway I usually take, but there's also the main street you can go on, you can turn onto. So as I'm heading that way, I hear Mamma Mia, here I go again. And it's a young man playing on a guitar. And he's got his case open, and what I like is they usually will have a sign up that says raising money for this, or raising money for repairs to blah blah, and I didn't contribute any money. I feel bad about that, but at the same time, I didn't really have much change. I didn't have a lot of coins in my wallet or my purse, and so I was like, so I just enjoyed music as I walked by and everything, and I went to turn down Queen Street. And I always like going down that street because there's usually like a good amount of people that are walking. And although I went super early, I went like around 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, something like that. And so that was kind of neat because there were less people, and so I didn't feel like I had to scoot out of the way. Sometimes I feel like when I'm walking, like people, like I'll have to move out of the way of people that are coming straight toward me, especially when a lot of them are doing this. Like they're looking down at their phone. And it's like, are you paying it? And one thing, I admire the heck of that because I can't do that anymore. It's like I have to have one hand on my walking stick and another hand, out to support myself in case I stumble or in case, or one hand free to, like, if I go shopping, like, one hand free to, like, reach for stuff and all that. And so I was. So, yeah. So it's just nice to go a little bit earlier, kind of beat the crowd and everything. And so, and I walked back, and, like, I have to admit this. There's been 2 days kind of in a row, not really in a row, but the last 2 times I've gone out, like, I have a purse, I have my handbag, and I normally keep my phone in here. Like, I'll normally just tuck it in and leave it up like that. Well, the past 2 times I've done that, I've tripped on the sidewalk, like right in front of our flat building is a bus stop, and there's part in the pavement that, like, goes down, like, kind of all of a sudden. It's like not a slope, it's like the pavement broke and they just haven't built it back up or anything. And so it's like, I stepped on that. I must have stepped on wrong. I tripped and started to fall. And then I realized, and then, like, I didn't realize until I walked a little ways further and turned the corner, but I went to look for my phone and it wasn't in my pocket. And so I was like, oh no, was it? And I thought, well, I tripped back there, so I turned around and went back. And first time, some guy had picked it up, but, like, and I think I mentioned this before, like, I came back and I was looking on the ground, like I was going slow. I was clearly looking at the ground like I dropped something. He didn't say anything until I, like, walked up to him because he'd been there when I first left and started to go walk on my way. And all of a sudden, and so it's like he didn't say anything until I came up and was like, "Excuse me, sir, have you seen a cell phone? It's an iPhone." And then he just immediately was like, "Oh, this one," and handed it to me. And I'm like, because I almost wouldn't have, like, at first I wouldn't have said anything to him. I almost was like, well, maybe I didn't bring it with me. Because there have been times, because usually I leave my phone right here on the little table that's set up over here. And like, I was like, well, maybe I did, maybe I didn't put my phone in my purse. And I would have walked into the building, gone up, and then who knows if he would have still been there when I got down. But yeah, and like he handed it right over, and like didn't ask for money or anything like that. I just found that weird. I was like, you see someone clearly walking around looking at the ground like they dropped something. If you found a phone, would you not say something? And like the fact that, like first time, it clearly must have fallen out when I tripped, and but the dude was right there. So you think he would have seen that happen and been like, and would have stopped me right there, but no. So now I'm like, what, were you planning on keeping it unless I said something to you specifically? It's like, that wouldn't work, right? Because I have Find My Phone on my computer. All I would have to do is hit Find My Phone and it would show where it was. So, but I still don't know what to think about that. I mean, he handed it back to me, so that was fine. No harm, no foul. But at the same time, I'm just like, what were you? Did you just forget you picked up a phone? I don't know. But anyway, well, then it was like a day or two later, and I went out again, and it was on Tuesday, and I dropped my phone again. This time, it was around the same place. This time, there was nobody around, and I discovered it last. Oh no! I remember, because I got a little bit farther, and there's a where close to where I live, there's a math and sciences building associated with the university. On the left hand side, it's on the route that I normally go to get to most places. And so I didn't trip this time or anything, but I don't know. I'm not sure how it fell out of my, unless there's like a hole in the pocket or something like that, and it slipped out, or I don't know. But then again, I also do play on my phone quite a bit because I have Pokemon Go on my phone, and there are a lot of Pokemon Go associated things in Exeter. And so I was like, so I probably had my phone out or I always stop right against the side of the Math and Sciences building to dig out my keys, to get into the building before I get up to the door. That way I don't have to juggle everything then. And so I'm I'm guessing the second time I must have knocked my phone out of the pocket. So now I try to keep it either inside my purse, or I put it in that pocket, but I put it down inside and zip the outside pocket so there's no chance of it falling out. But anyway, so I went to town to get my prescriptions, and everything went fine. I walk out, and this is the third time, but I saw there's this 2-story building. I don't know if it's an actual bus, but I'm assuming it might be, because otherwise, how would it get to where it is? But anyway, there's this, it looks like a double-decker bus, like you see in London a lot of times. And, which I've always wanted to ride on, but I don't know if I should even attempt now that I have a walking stick and all that, and it might be a little too difficult. But anyway, so it looks like a double-decker bus, and it's usually set up right outside a Boots, but on the opposite side of the street. And so I walk out, and I'm sitting on the bench, getting my stuff organized, making sure I have everything I need, checking the Pokemon, that kind of thing. All of a sudden I look up, and I just see the bus. Now, unfortunately, it was locked up, so they apparently had opened yet. But usually they have, kind of reminds me of those food trucks you see sometimes, where it's like there's a side part and it kind of folds down and you can kind of see inside the truck and everything, but they do that on both sides. And there's usually somebody there, and they have bags and tongs for each of the things, and you can pick what you want. And I don't remember how much it is, but it's decent. But it's also definitely probably not a necessity. But the other thing that I find absolutely funny, I took a picture and sent to Keith with one word: fudge. And I was, and of course he'd seen it when he came walking it to go to work, because he walks to and from work every day. And so I was like, fudge. And so I sat there and waited for a little while, because I didn't know when it would open, and it hadn't opened yet. And so I kept walking, and there were some other food booths set up the next street over, so I checked that out, but none of them were fully open yet, so I was like, oh, okay. So instead I walk into Tesco, which is kind of, it's like a grocery store. I think it's mainly a grocery store, but it's a bit smaller. At least the one in our town is a lot smaller then like Sainsbury's, you walk into Sainsbury's and it looks like I'm gonna quote this, proper grocery store with like aisles and all that. This one's a bit smaller, but it's nice. You walk in, and one thing I love, you walk in and there are drinks right there, like soda, like water bottles, that kind of thing. So they had Mountain Dew, so I grabbed one of those, and then on the right hand side, you have those little displays. They're not big, but they're like basically a clip on that clip onto the shelves, the shelving and all that in the front. Well, they had one of those, and I saw a candy bar I hadn't seen in like a long time, and it was Reese's peanut butter cups, the big cups, and caramel. And so these are good. They're very, very rich. So they're probably not everybody's taste, but they're really. But like, I used to get them at Walgreens all the time. And also Casey's. I think Casey's had them sometimes. But they were usually a Walgreens thing. But yeah, so I saw that immediately was like, oh, yes. And then I went down to they have like a small section past the food, which is for like non-food related items. And they have like a fairly decent hair section. But I was looking for hair dye because it's been ages since I've gotten highlights done on my hair, and I'm starting to go more gray and everything. And so, since I past 2 times have cut my hair myself, I was like, wonder if I could color my hair. And here's the thing, I've wanted to for a while now put at least highlights in my hair of like a non-natural hair color, like purple or green or blue or something like that. And I checked what they had at Boots, but I'm also trying to save as much money as possible. And so I was like, well, we'll see what Tesco has. Well, they didn't have any hair color, or at least maybe I wasn't in the right section. I don't know. They had like shampoo, conditioner, all that kind of stuff, but no hair color. And so my quest is still continuing. But the other funny thing is, when I was at Boots and I was checking, I found like a small section of like non-natural hair color. And I found, well, I've started playing Stardew Valley again, as I mentioned before. I found the perfect Abigail hair color. I mean, it's purple, but it's not like dark. It looks like her hair. Even the model in the front of the box looked like Abigail. Like, for a moment, I was like, okay, where's the Caroline box? Because her mom has green hair, so like not natural hair color. And so, and that also, I think I might have mentioned this before, but there's also the theory, because when the game first came out, people were like, oh, Abigail's the wizard's daughter because they have the same hair color. But if you develop a good enough relationship with her mom, she will share with you that she thinks Abigail should go back to her natural hair color, and turns out her hair is pretty much the same hair color as Pierre, who has like normal, like strawberry blonde hair, kind of reddish, but on the lighter side. It's not like pure red, it's just kind of a, it's kind of a more mellow color, if that's, like, it's not like red. Like, you have two characters in the game who have red hair, Leighton and Robin. And, but Pierre has similar, but it's less pure red and more, and it's not like red, not natural red. It's more red as in, um, you'd probably call it auburn hair color. But like what I find so fascinating is like you can't. Abigail doesn't tell you that. Her mother tells you that. And it's like, okay, that's really interesting if you ask me. And so I'm just like, I wonder, because, and I think I haven't gotten to it yet in this playthrough, but apparently, if you continue developing a relationship with Caroline, continue building hearts, at some point, she will tell you that when she first moved, that when Pierre and Abigail first moved to Pelican Town, that she used to go for a walk late at night out to the Wizard's Tower, which, again, a lot of people assume kind of put that together with the hair and was like, oh, Abigail's the wizard's daughter, Caroline, she's up here. But then a theory came out, a few years ago. I don't remember exactly when, but it's been relatively new. Like it's definitely newer than the Abigail's wizard's daughter. But there's rumor that Caroline wasn't going to the Wizard's Tower to do the adult thing, to, have a little fun, shall we say. But she was going there because she's the wizard's daughter. And I thought that was interesting, especially since we don't really know the wizard's actual age. Like, his full name is Rasmodius, but we don't know his age. And like I said, that combined with the fact that Abigail's hair really isn't purple, but she dyes it purple, kind of makes me think, oh, now, there's an interesting little event. I don't remember on what day or day she does this, but there are times as a farmer where I've been like either going into or leaving the general store, and Abigail heads to the secret woods. So there's been a couple times I've like followed her as a player because I'm just curious. I'm like, okay, what are you doing? What's going on? And so it turns out she goes to the base. Like, the wizard's tower is up on kind of like a little hill, and there is a staircase that goes up. Well, Abigail hangs around at the bottom of that staircase. She has, as far as I'm aware, not gone in to see the wizard, but she has. She'll go out there and hang out and stuff, and so it's kind of like I've always wanted to like ask her about that. It's like so what you doing, kind of thing. And a lot of people have used that as, oh, see, she has to be the wizard's daughter. But you would think if she was the wizard's daughter, she would. Because Abigail is brave in a lot of ways, and she's not afraid to speak in her mind. So I would imagine if the wizard was her dad, she would definitely be like, knock on the door and be like, hi, I'm Abigail, I think I'm your kid, kind of thing. But like, what I find interesting is if you develop your relationship with the wizard up to a certain point, like, he will confess to you, he says that he thinks, or there's a rumor or something, I can't forget how it's phrased, but he basically lets you know that he thinks, or that maybe someone in town has spread the rumor that somewhere in town is his daughter, which then puts a little kink in the Caroline as his daughter, because you would think, unless they never really talked, unless Caroline never really said, hey, you're my dad, which I could maybe see. I don't know. I don't really know. And especially the thing, apparently when you get the, I'm sorry, I probably should have said spoilers for Stardew Valley if you haven't played it yet. But, like, the nice thing is that it's implied. It's not, like, straight out, like, you don't know. I mean, I've even heard theories that Jazz, who is one of the little kids in town, Jazz and Vincent, like, Jazz has purple hair. Although I call it more black. It's kind of more black with purple sheen to it, if that makes sense. Like, I remember, like, years ago, I used to read the Trixie Belden books. And what I really liked is there was a blonde, a redhead, and then Diana, who joined in a couple books in. And Diana had the dark black hair that kind of looked purple from certain angles, and she had violet eyes. She had like purple eyes and stuff. And so, so now there's this theory going around that Jazz is the wizard's daughter, but then there's the whole thing about her parents. Because, again, major spoilers, if you get your friendship level with Jazz up to a certain point, she will apparently tell you, because she doesn't live with parents, technically. She lives with her godfather, who is Shane, and Marnie, who she calls her aunt. And like, I find that really interesting. And it's like, so, but I haven't heard how that explains the parents' death unless Jazz was adopted at first. You know, if Jazz was adopted out of the valley, or if whoever her dad was, or, you know, whoever was coupled with her mom, either knew and didn't care or didn't know that Jazz wasn't his. And then her parents die, and so then she comes back to Pelican Town to live with Marnie and Shane. And there's even talk, there was a I might say this wrong, but Solder Arts, I believe it's the channel name. She does Stardew Valley stuff, some deep dives, that kind of thing. But she basically was talking about, like, there's apparently talk in the Stardew community about, well, why doesn't Jazz come to live with us on the farm if we marry Shane? And it's like, yeah, that's a good question. And the way Sauter answered it was, she was like, Marnie is kind of her main support system. Because Shane, unless, you know, unless he starts getting, you know, unless you get him to like his 6th heart event, I think. 6 or 8 heart, I'm not entirely sure. But, basically you have to build up so many hearts with Shane, and then you'll come across him just, I'm gonna say it, drunk. He's, you know, overindulged as he does, and he basically talks about, you know, like, he actually asks you as a farmer, why shouldn't I just roll off this cliff right now? And you have the choice of responding to that in like 3 or maybe 4 different ways. And, but like, you can get him help. And then he finally goes to see Harvey, and Harvey takes care of him, pumps his stomach and all that. And then that's kind of the turning point, and he starts drinking like sparkling water versus beer, and starts, you know, like, he distracts himself by trying to beat one of the main games in the game, which is Journey of the Hurricane, which is a very difficult game to play, in my opinion. I've never had much luck with getting beyond the first level, to be honest with you. Maybe that's just I'm not good at it, but on the other hand, it is like a shooter game, and I'm not, I barely played anything resembling like a shooter. And so I'm just like, yeah, you know, not the not the most fun, but there is, I think, a couple of achievements you can get for beating the game and for getting to like a certain level in the game or something like that. But anyway, so Shane tries to distract himself by focusing on the game and not on, just drinking beer or whatever. But what I always found weird is, like, if you marry Shane, like, because when you marry anybody in Stardew Valley and they move to the farmhouse with you, they get their own room. Well, Shane's room kind of reflects the room he has in Marnie's. There's muddy footprints everywhere. There's like a mini fridge that, so it's like he slides back. I don't know. So, again, I'm not 100% sure. And I think, Eric Barone, who made Stardew Valley, kind of wanted to keep it, not wishy-washy, but kind of vague. Kind of, we're not really sure what happens and all that. But I do kind of like that, because then there's, or like in my current playthrough, I married Leia, and she still works on her art and stuff. It's just kind of a bummer because, like, she has the one art show or sells her stuff online if you go that route. And there's not really, how do I say this? There's not really we don't usually get to see, there's really only a couple of villagers who, if you marry, get like a ending arc to their big dream. Like, Sam wants to be a musician, and in one of my playthroughs I played and married Sam, and Sam is Sam is so funny to marry because his mom never made him do any chores. And so a lot of times he'll be like, I would help you, I just don't know what to do. And it's like, I kind of wish you had the option of, like, teaching Sam, like, take him around the farm and being like, so I feed the chickens. By doing this, if there's, normally if there's grass outside, they'll eat that. They prefer that. But usually if they, during winter when it rains, you need to go in and feed them. And if there's a silo, then, you feed them with the silo. And if not, you have to usually go down to Marnie's and get hay. I wish you had an option of being able to, I don't want to say correct these things, but, like, I kind of wish you, like with Sam, like I said, the fact that he comes to it, he has no idea how to cook, he has no idea how to, he still gives you things, but it's more like things he found or, whatever. And it's not like cooked items or like Leia. Like, I didn't realize that when you marry Leia, she makes you coffee. And it's like, number one, it's kind of hilarious because we don't have a coffee machine. So how did you make coffee? But, and also because I'm British, I kind of be like, oh, it's tea, it's like, you know. But yeah, I kind of wish, and I have heard this from like other players, that they wish that that whoever their spouse is could continue their dreams. You know, like I wish we could have another art show for Leia, or that Leia could go into Zuzu City and we could go with her, or whatever. I'm sure there are mods out there for that. There are mods out there for pretty much everything in Stardew Valley, pretty much. But yeah, I do kind of wish there was more of a way of, like, correct, or like with Shane, to be able to, you know, maybe check in with him and be like, hey, you want another sparkling water? I opened one for myself. Do you want one? You know, or whatever. To kind of keep the impression going that he's on the straight and narrow. Or, like, I wish you could, like, mop up the muddy footprints, you know. But, you know, like I said, there's probably mods for that, I'm assuming. But, yeah. So, anyway, but yeah, that's kind of, I feel like I just rambled again. But, I also wanted to let you guys know that I had fully planned on uploading another, bit of Gone Home, but I don't know if I'll be able to do that this week. Just because it is Thursday. I am planning on this afternoon taking my laundry down, taking the clothes that need washing down to the laundromat and getting them washed, and then bringing them back here. And then I have Friday, and I could possibly possibly record it on Friday, but I don't know if I'll be able to upload it before the weekend. So I'll see what I can do. But there may not be any gameplay this week, just because, like I said at the beginning, this week has gotten away from me. Yeah, it's been an interesting week, but it's been pretty fun for the most part. Um, I've been a little sore physically, and stuff like that. But other than that, yeah, it just kind of got away from me. I'm sorry about that, guys. I know you guys are, well, I hope you guys are enjoying the Gone Home play we've already done. And like I said, I promise I will. What I might do is record it tomorrow and then upload it on Monday. And then that way you guys can have it. You guys won't have it for the weekend, but you guys will have it for the start of next week, if that's okay. But yeah. So, but yeah, I just wanted to pop on here, let you guys know what was going on. Let you guys know that I am still planning on uploading the next bit of Gone Home. But yeah. In the meantime, I'm just, moving along, doing what I can, getting stuff done, and that's about all I can do. So, anyway, any hoodles. But yeah, if I don't upload, if I don't get to record gameplay tomorrow, I'll probably do it on Monday and then be able to upload on Tuesday. So you will get gameplay, hopefully, unless something happens. Hopefully not. But hopefully you'll get a gameplay video sometime, like I said, probably in the beginning of next week. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing okay. Hope you guys are hanging in there. And but yeah, I will talk to you guys later.